G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Well, in today's video, we're going to be cleaning all this crap up. So one thing that's bothered me a lot with this car is the paint has just been going on the flares for a while now. So we used some plastic trim and bumper paint, but it just hasn't lasted over the last 12 months. Hopefully this is going to fix our problem. We've got 3 of these turbo cans. Now these are a Rust-Oleum Bedliner, which I've used before on the roof rack of this thing, and it looks great. The roof rack isn't on it right now, but comes out really good. Spray pattern's amazing. The fan spread on these are unreal. This isn't a sponsored product, I've just loved these things. So the end goal for today is to make this car look much better. Rock sliders as well, rear flares and the rear bars as well. So we'll go through the process, sand them up, clean them up, paint over them, hopefully it lasts. So I'll give you a better look at it. Here's our flares. Rock sliders are all sort of faded, as well as the flares are all just crap. You can see where he scratched it off roading and all stuff like that. I can pull these rear bars off and do them separately. Take you around the other side of the big girl. Same dealio. It just makes the car look a little bit tacky. So I thought giving this all a good Raptor coat or Bedliner or whatever will definitely make this car look a lot nicer. If you're not familiar with this car, this is my 99 GU Patrol with an LS1 in it. Engineered 5.7 LS1. You can see the front's Raptor coat to see how nice it looks. It's covered in bugs at the moment, but we want to make the rest of the car like that. The sliders, everything, make it look nice. I'm going to set the car up over in the corner here. One thing I did forget was I forgot to get any masking paper or newspaper or anything. So I'm going to go full DIY here and just use cardboard. I've used cardboard before. We'll just mask it up and cardboard all the areas like the bottom there where we're going to be spraying. And we'll do one side at a time, let it dry off. You don't really need to prime when you do like bed lining and stuff, but I probably will just put maybe an etch or something over it. Just to help it adhere. We'll get the sander out. The good thing about bed lining is all the little nooks and high spots and low spots and that, it usually fills in because it's so thick and just robust. So fingers crossed that all works. And I've heard it adheres to plastic pretty well too. At least it'd be a bit more durable than the trim and bumper paint that we used prior. And on our rock sliders too, to give them a nice clean. So without further ado, I'll move the car around, we'll get set up, start masking up, start sanding, and hopefully have this thing looking sick by the end of today's video. Can't wait. So first thing I'm gonna do is get our orbitable sander, go over it with a bit of 180 grit, which I got on it now, and just give it a little bit of a once over just to get any of the crap off. All you're trying to do is literally just take the shine off anywhere that you think the paint's going to try flake off from, because it's not going to adhere properly. So we'll do that all round, give it a nice sand, and then we'll give it a nice clean, prep sole, mask it, re-prep sole it, and get ready to apply our paint. This is a bit that's time consuming. Lucky I have an electric sander. If you're doing this by hand, it's all right. Also, you're probably wondering, why aren't you taking the flares off? Probably be easier. I did try taking one flare off one time and I almost broke every single clip. So instead of doing that, I'm just gonna, like last time we did this, we just masked the car and just painted the flares on the car. It wasn't too bad, so I'm just going to do it that way. Keep it nice and easy, just mask up nicely, that way we don't get much overspray on the body. So I'm just going to continue sanding the rock sliders and the rear parts, take that rear bumper bar off at the back because it's only 2 cable ties holding it on, and then we'll get ready to paint this side. Alright guys, so next we have some wax and grease remover. So what this does, it's going to clean up our surface and get rid of all the heebie-jeebies. That way our primer and paint can adhere a bit better. You can see all that crap coming off it, that's just all from sanding. Then we'll get the dry side and go over it again. Tack it off. You see even tacking it, that's all the shit we're left with. Do it once more. Nice and clean. Those have a little bit of etch to go over it. This is just a sealer primer. So this is literally just going to be a nice sealer coat. And I'm not going to really go heavy with it, I'm just going to go nice and light like that. Tack it on, and then this will give you an idea if it starts to fisheye or anything. And if it does, then you can rectify it and then move on. So I'll let that tack off. I'm probably going to mask a bit more there so we don't get the light. And then we'll go over a little bit heavier and then we'll hit it with our bed liner. Alright guys, here's our VL turbo can. Give it a hit. Now I've just gave it a bit of an etch just to seal it. And hopefully this doesn't get everywhere, because give it a good shake first. Test it on something first before you do that, because this stuff comes out real thick. Usually go upside down, just hold it because the material is very thick in here. There we go. They call it turbo. I'm being very, very easy on the throttle. Done. And that's it, and I'll hit it one more time. All right guys, so we've hit our first coat on there. You can see the texture it comes out as. So it looks really good. So I'll go over it one more time, just so it's nice and covered. And then do the rock slider, and the same for the rear flare. We'll flip the car around and we'll do the same thing the other side. Alrighty fellas, we have one side pretty much done now. So we've done that front flare, which I showed you guys just off camera. Just quickly did the rock slider, and now the rear flare is drying off now. So you can see it's a bit dry at the top and still tacky at the bottom. Left that off. Also did the rear bar, which is outside. Let that dry off in the sun. We'll put this side back together. We'll flip the car around, drive it out, reverse it back in, do the other side, and I'll show you a time lapse of that side. Hopefully we can get done by the end of the day and give her a wash. Should look nice and schmick, ready to smash some embankments. We have turned the car around, so we've just started to sand this side. If we go to this side, we'll have a look. It actually looks really nice. Coming down to the sliders, it looks really good. Rear flare can't grouse, and the rear bumper bar looks really good. So have a look at it like that. That looks so much better. How long it's gonna last? No idea. It's gonna be so much more durable than the plastic paint we had on before. We'll do our flares, sliders, rear bar, and then hopefully we'll try and do our center body mold here and mirrors, and maybe give the front bar a new lick. But for now, this will be perfect. One of the previous episodes we had done all inside the guard lining and all that, so all the wheel wells. Now that we have all this all in bed lining, it's all sort of uniform now, which is good. And you can see our quarter chop as well with the rear bar off. So not a lot of you have seen this from the first episodes when we first got the car. So there's our box quarter chop. Haven't really utilized this with the standard bars on it, but once we get a nice steel rear bar, we can finally utilize this quarter chop and have some good departure angle. So I think what I'm gonna do now is set the camera down. We're gonna already sanded all this side, so we'll get it all masked up, prep soled, etch prime the flares. I'm not gonna etch prime the actual bar work here. We'll just paint straight over that. And hopefully we'll have all this side done before it gets dark. Cool, got the rear one done and that slider. Literally all we have left is this front one here, and we have the rear bar over there. So I'm really happy with how it's coming out. You will probably notice from last time we painted it, so ages ago, we got a bit of overspray on the car too. So what I've been doing is actually slipping the car. The good thing about the cardboard is I can slip it behind the flare. That way it doesn't get any overspray like last time. So any overspray you do see is actually from last time we did it. I've learned from that time, but you can see the difference. So obviously this front flare is all sanded down. But and you look at the back one, how nice that textured bedliner comes out. So if you want to know where to get these cans, I literally just got them from Autobahn. I can't remember how much they were each. I got them a while ago, but they're freaking awesome. They're huge. I don't know if you can tell, but they're massive. I'll put it next to a normal can. Like that. Or let's say a VHT one there. Look at the size difference. Put it next to my crawler. Massive. And the good thing is, this is our second can. We've just started our second can too. One can managed to do that entire side, plus that flare. So this can we've just done on this slider. So that's pretty good. So this should be more than enough for this front one and that rear bar. Well guys, we're finished. I think that looks so much better. So much better. So you can see like on the side here, we still have like the gouges and that. We're never gonna be able to fill those, but the rest of the texture looks so much nicer coming through the flares here. Sliders came up sick too. Front flares too. Look really cool. So I'm really happy with that. It's made the car look much nicer, especially the rear bars and stuff like that. Looks way better. And that's just from some turbo cans. So it didn't take too long, took a couple of hours. Have my buddy here too, so we're just sort of powering through. So here's the other side. That mark was from me putting my foot on to get in. So yeah, well these rear bars we're not keeping on forever. We're going to be actually putting a proper rear bar on it, like a steel bar, once we do bar work and stuff like that. You can see here we went on a little bit way too heavy when we first started, but that's all right. It is a car that's going to be used off-road. I'm not going to make it a pavement queen or anything. Also, we have a 3-inch Dobinson lift, or that's the
front or rear springs. I have the other, no, they're the front springs. I have the rear ones over there. We got given to them by a friend. So if we ever get sick of the Dobberson 4-inch lift, we can drop it to a 3. I'll show you some other stuff that I've done off camera. So when we got rear-ended in this car, we had no brakes because we smashed the brake line. The one thing I've done, actually probably go to the other side, is you can probably see the brake line right there. So that's a Superior Engineering extended brake line to the front. And we also replaced this brake line here. This was absolutely buggered on our car. It actually broke down the bottom there, so we had to replace this whole line. And yeah, then we have Superior Engineering front line, so that's gonna extend more the flex. Coming over here, we also have another one. So this one is actually for the rear. So this one will go up to the front, to the top of the chassis, and then the bottom one will go to the diff, and then tee off to our rear brake lines. But definitely gonna put that on soon. That way we got matching front and rear brake lines. That way for the extra flex, it won't pull a brake line. Also over here, we have these cool little things. So these are Superior Engineering, I think they're coil stoppers. So what they do is actually sit in the bottom spring perch. It's hard to sort of show you, but down the bottom there is a hole, and the bolt hole goes through that. And then this little nub here will actually go over the spring and hold it into the actual spring perch and stop the spring from popping out. So we're gonna install them too. They take like 2 seconds anyways. So I reckon probably next video we'll do that. We'll put the rear brake line on, put those little coil stoppers on. And Bob's Urani, and the car's just a bit more durable for the bush. Also, you guys remember from one of the last episodes we did with this patrol, where we were doing some cleaning up and getting it ready for a trip. We had a fuel leak that was sort of coming and going, and I could not find out where it was. And I finally found out where it was coming from. If we look under here, you'll see these 2 lines here. Now, the other day I could smell fuel, and I quickly jumped under the car, and I found it. It was coming just out of there. I actually took a photo of it, just coming out of there. So I think I've got to snip that line about there, move it forward, and then re-clamp it on. So that was our mystery. It only sort of happens here and there. I think maybe when the tank pressurizes or something, it sort of just happens. But other than that, it seems to be okay. It sort of just does it when it wants to. It doesn't really leak onto the floor. Only once it's done that. But yeah, we're still gonna rectify that, make sure we have no fuel leaking, just for when we go on trips and stuff like that. For now, she's looking beautiful. I'll stand out like that. Awesome, look at that. So this Saturday we have a YouTube meet with all the YouTubers from Melbourne. So I'm gonna take this down and go see a couple of the guys, Aussie Arvo, stuff like that's gonna be there. So we're gonna go hang out with them. Yeah, it should be an awesome day. So that's sort of why I wanted to get her ready as well. Make it look a bit nicer for the meet. Give her a wash tomorrow and make it look sick. Well, anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this sort of just shows you that you can just go out and get some Bedliner and make your patrol look a bit nicer. Don't use plastic paint, use some proper good shit. I really need to fix that from when the Raptorliner smashed the embankment. So I might actually touch that up with our current paint. But for now, I'm happy with the flares and everything done. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thank you so much for following along and watching. Can't wait to go 4-wheel driving soon. So you'll be definitely up to date with all that. And I'm gonna organize some trips ASAP. So yeah, take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.